Hello and welcome back to the SuperCoach Experience podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Savage, the coach of the Savage Burbos. Team lists have dropped. Everybody has made their trades, and I'm here to answer some questions that I posted in the NRL SuperCoach Experience Facebook group. If you want to have your question asked, make sure to join the group. It is the NRL SuperCoach Experience group on Facebook. You can ask your question in the questions thread there, and we will answer it in a separate podcast every week. We're going to try and get to it every week, and the more questions you ask, the more demand, the more listens, the more watches, means the more time we have to spend on all this sort of stuff. So first question is Ian Stewart. Which gun are you most worried about, Hines, Ponga, Grant, or Cleary? So with Ponga, his draw actually opens up very shortly. I've actually liked what I've seen from Ponga, but this week Jack Cogger is named in the number 7 jersey, so maybe that straightens up their attack and allows Ponga to have the platform to go. A very understrength Melbourne side this week, so potentially you see some love there. But I've actually liked what I've seen from Ponga. He's had a really good preseason. He looks very fit. So with Ponga, I'm not worried about him. With Cleary, he looked magnificent on the weekend. It was just because there was an injury to the back line for Parramatta, so they just targeted that right edge. So all he had to do was give ball out to Dylan Edwards, which allowed Tago to absolutely have a field day. I think that score is coming for Cleary, what Tago scored on the weekend, very shortly. He is looking electric, and hot tip, he actually scores very well against the Broncos. He always tends to score a try against the Broncos. So at home, he's someone I'm potentially looking at captaining. Harry Grant is the one I didn't start with. I'm not worried about him, but I am worried with no Munster, no Hughes, no Nass, what happens there. But we've seen in the past when them people are out, he takes it upon himself to have the attacking stats himself. So I would be most worried about probably Grant or Hines. So what I've seen from Hines, they've concentrated a lot on defense in the preseason. And with Hines, he has always been so good at SuperCoach because the attack's been around him. He just gets the ball and takes it to wherever he wants to go. The issue is they're not doing that. They're taking a more team approach to get past players. They're being more patient with how they score their points. They're not looking at scoring every play. That does worry me. And he's the most expensive player out of all of them. I'm not game enough to sell him because he does have the Tigers this week, so this week is the ultimate test. If I was looking at selling someone, Grant has the bye coming up, but in that position, there's not much else going on there. Maybe if you want to go to a Lussick, it's a potential option, but I don't think I could do it by myself. So probably, I reckon Cleary is number 1 on that list. Ponga is number 2, and Hines and Grant are the last ones. The thing is, I understand there's much better options you can sell Ponga to, so Ponga's probably the one I would sell. Just because all the other options in halfback and hooker, there's not that much there. Whereas Ponga, you can go to Latrell, you can go to Teddy and bank a lot of cash there. So I think that makes most sense. But that being said, I think Ponga is going to absolutely kill it coming up. James Christoph, is Lussick a must if I've got Levi? Selling Lukey to Curran or Hosking? Worth downgrading Ponga to Pappenhausen frees up funds to turn Moses into Cleary. I think turning Moses into Cleary is definitely a priority. Levi to Lussick, I think it's a waste of a trade, to be honest. You're trading one guy who's guaranteed to make money for another guy who's going to make a bit more money. I get that with Lussick, you can probably turn him into a gun much sooner, but I think just save the trade. Just save the hassle. I know Lussick is looking good. He's looking like an 80-minute player, but the attacking stats will dry up. He will make bulk cash, but the attacking stats will dry out for Lussick, and he will be someone that a lot of people will get rid of, and they're going to be like, who do I get rid of him to? Maybe when he peaks, you go to a Brayley, but I think that's exactly what I'm going to do with with Danny Levi, because I think the timeline just matches up a bit better there. Liam Howe is bringing in Lussick to have both him and Levi an accident waiting to happen, or is the cash generation worth it? We'll be trading out Blake Brayley. In this instance, I think Blake Brayley this season has underwhelmed quite a bit, but with so being able to bank a bit of cash there and going to someone like Lussick, I actually really like Lussick as an option. I think he's going to plug 50 without the attacking stats. So I think that's a nice, safe play. And then he showed early on that he can get the attacking stats. I know I just said I don't think the attacking stats will come, but there's still a chance that they could. I'm not saying just because I don't think they're going to come doesn't mean they're not going to come. So I actually really like that trade. If it was anyone else, I got Reece Robson myself. If you got Reece Robson or Api Coruscant, I'd be against it because these guys actually do score well and week to week you can rely on them. But Blake Brayley is just someone who you took a flyer on a good draw early on and it hasn't panned out. He does have the Tigers this week. If he's your only avenue to have cash to upgrade someone else, then go for it. Luke Muke. Should we prioritize moving Moses for Hines? Where should that lie in priority to other 700k flops like Ponga, Marju, and Walker? Marju is injured, so I think he's your number one priority to get out. He's injured for 4 weeks with a wrist injury, so I would prioritize getting him out of your side. Moving Moses. Moses plays Manly this week, and then I'm pretty sure he plays the Tigers the following week after next. So he's not a priority, but I would want to get in Hines. I'd be selling Marju to someone like Lomax, Hammer, and then going up to Hines from Moses out of there. Grant Nicholson, which centre wing is a good pod? Already have Marju, Holmes, and can afford pretty much anyone in the centre wing. It's a very interesting one because if you haven't got Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, I think you should go there. He's obviously set to make bulk cash, and he's just looking so good. If you do have him, I'd be looking at Hammer, but obviously you're selling Marju this week. Maybe Garrick. I think Manly they're looking good, and I think their run frees up just a little bit coming up soon. So Garrick, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, I don't mind going Gagai as well, especially if you want a bit of that Knights attack. I don't know if it's actually, but it's not there. They haven't shown us anything yet. But with Cog on the side, we're still yet to determine that. Dino and Levi to Lussick sideways. I think so. As I said, Levi could come out this week and score 80, and Lussick could score 40. I'm much more confident Lussick can score more, but just with how Supercoach goes, I wouldn't be selling someone who's going to make cash anyway. Matthew Gibson, where do you think Whitehead fits into the Raiders team? Do you think Curran keeps playing similar minutes or has been due to injuries? Is Levi to Lussick worth a trade? I have Appy as my other hooker. If you were to pick your team from scratch now with two fullbacks, who would you go with? So Whitehead, obviously starting and Hosking on the bench. So I think that rules out Hosking as a Supercoach option. Curran keeps playing similar minutes. There's been injuries in the first two games. Salmon went to the centres in the first game to allow for Addo Carr. And last game, Farmasuli got knocked out in the first minute. So I'm not confident in his minutes. See, the thing is, with him starting and when injuries happen, he's more likely to play 65 minutes plus to 80 minutes. But since he's not starting, he's capped at about, 55 minutes. I know on the weekend he came on and played big minutes because of Farmasili's knockout, but that's not going to happen too often. I'm not massively keen on Curran. I don't think he's a must-have. I do see the appeal. His PPM has been good coming off the bench. Levi to Lussick, I've said that before. With Appy as my first hooker, I just wouldn't do the trade. And if you were to pick your team from scratch now, what two fullbacks would you start with? I'm loving the look of Turbo. I think Turbo's about to explode, and I think he's going to be the highest scoring Supercoach player this week against the Eels. I'm very confident on that, to be honest, especially if Morgan Harper dishes up what he did on the wing. I know he had Kelma Tuolangi inside him, but different kettle of fish there. I'd probably go him, and I do still like Ponga. I think Ponga going into this next couple of weeks is going to explode. But if I didn't have Ponga, it'd be Latrell because he's got the Bulldogs next week, I'm pretty sure, possibly the week after. I'll just have a quick look into that. But yeah, he's got the Bulldogs after that. So I think considering he's averaging 90 at the moment already, he's looking good. And there's a bit of criticism going around for him. So I picked him because of the bounce back factor, and there's going to be more of that. So he plays the Roosters this week, the Bulldogs next week, and then he plays the Warriors and then the Sharks and then a bye. So someone like Latrell can be sold off very soon. I think I will be looking at selling maybe after the Bulldogs match up to someone like Turbo or Ponga, depending on how much cash Ponga drops. Michael Carver, thoughts on Savage and Arthurs? I think they've played really well NRL-wise, but it hasn't translated to Supercoach. I think that's because they are wingers that rely on attacking stats, and they have got them. With Arthurs, he played an amazing game the other night and only scored 57. Savage is a bit different, but I'd probably be staying away from either of them. You got Tuamala Vega for Manly on the wing that's there. There's Solomoni Fatape for the Tigers. So there's a few cheapies around, and yeah, I don't think Savage and Arthurs are the option. If you have them, I'd be stoked with them, to be honest. Adam Sargent, is it true that Greg Marju has been eating teammates' lunches? That's why he's refusing to get the ball to him attacking 20-metre line. Also, what cash cow should I trade Marju to? It's a good question. I can or cannot confirm these rumors are true. That I think the Knights have just looked pretty bad. So I think with Cogger there, hopefully that straightens them up. And they're back in Newcastle this week, so they're going to want to put in a better performance. Which cash cow I'd be looking at? Who's 500k? I'd be looking at RTS. I think RTS is pretty highly owned. There's not much there. I still like Labour this week against the Dragons. That could be a good one. It's a real tough question. Cash cow. I think Tuapiki's a good one too. I think he's worth a play this week. Mark Craswell, is Ponga a trade to Teddy? I have Teddy my side. I'm a bit nervous this week him playing the Rabbitohs, but Teddy's looked magnificent this year. The Roosters look way better than they have any start to the season ever. 192k to go Ponga to Teddy. I see the reason. It just depends who you're upgrading to. If you're doing it so you can upgrade a mediocre player to another mediocre player, I wouldn't do it. But if it allows you to have another gun into your side, I love it. Ben Middleton, rank the following trade-ins for those of us who didn't absolutely nail our fullbacks. Pappy, Teddy, Latrell. Pappy obviously has the bye coming up in round 4 next week, so I wouldn't be going Pappy. I like Latrell. Teddy, obviously I started with him, but I think Latrell's more value over the next couple of weeks. And if you're going to play that fullback rotation, Latrell, a trade out before the bye, I think is a good option. But if you don't like rotating your fullbacks often, then Teddy's your guy. Paul Speechley, is May a must, and can he keep scoring with his minutes? Yes, he can. You can obviously see that Robbo loves him. Started on the weekend. He'll probably just keep starting every week. Jared will be named to start every week, and then that late change will happen. He's just a monster. 50 at halftime on the weekend. He's a premium option and legitimate captain options some weeks now. I think he's got to be in the conversation for that. Tom Manty, coach of Barwat Pongers. I think I may have jinxed my own team with that name. Sorry, not so sorry. Anyhow, with KP looking too into his game at the moment, who do I bring in? I like the look of Pappy. Do I do Trell instead of Pappy? So I just answered that question, obviously, so I'm not going to answer it again. But as I said, Trell if you're into the fullback rotation policy. Teddy if you want to hold him a bit longer. Okay, cash-based Drinkwater, Salmon Stone into Teddy Hosking Lussick looks good. I hate it. I wouldn't be going... I mean, Stone to Lussick I like. Salmon probably needs to be traded out, not the kind of Supercoach player we expected. But Drinkwater to Teddy, I think Drinkwater's about to explode. He's been there and thereabouts. Same as Turbo. He's looked good, and it's going to click for him very soon. He looks very, very good. Dave Little, what the hell do we do with salmon? Even the Chemical Brothers don't know what to do, and they wrote a bloody silly salmon song. Cheers, we'll win one day. Salmon, he's an interesting one. Depends where you have him. So if you have him in second row, you can go to, you've probably got all the cheapies, but Fini Fuiaki, he's a good trade option this week. If you've got him in centre wing, there's plenty of trade options. Tuapiki, a lot of people didn't start with him. CNK's out for another 3-4 weeks, so he's a playable option that you can get into your side. There's obviously Vega from the Manly Sea Eagles, and there's also Soleimani for Tarpe. Jeff Lane, Antipod Hosco. I think I'm recording this straight after team lists. Hosking is on the bench, so I think he's the most traded in player at the moment. I think that'll rapidly change now that he's been named on the bench. Paul Speechley, the risk associated with trading in Hosking, Elliot Horse could take minutes or move him to the bench. I think we've seen that straight away, and Horsburgh's still to come back, so Hosking is definitely a risky option at that. Andrew Bicknell, if I said I was trading out Reece Robson for Joey Lussick and running a Lussick-Levi combo for at least a week or two, would you think this is my first year of playing? The reason I got Robson in is because he's going to plug a hole until I go to Harry Grant after his bye. Reece Robson has done magnificent. I'm very happy with Reece Robson. He's scored 65 in consecutive weeks. I get going to Joey Lussick for a couple of weeks and banking the cash because I don't think Reece Robson he's not that high upside guy, whereas Harry Grant is. So if you can bank cash and you've got that cash side to go Lussick up to Harry Grant sooner rather than later, then I don't hate the move. Trent Dixon, how much cash is too much cash in the bank? Chasing some cash with playable quality options. Already have 140k in the bank. Luki to Curran, Levi to Lussick, Ponga to Mulatalo. I wouldn't be doing the Ponga to Mulatalo trade, but as long as you're starting 17 is good, no amount of cash is too much. Philip Owens, Marju, Sam Walker, Salmon to Ronaldo, Brooks and Hosking, or Marju, Walker, Farmasili to Brooks, Hosking and AFB. I like the second trade a lot more, but I wouldn't be trading in Hosking, and I think you probably would have rephrased that question after team list anyway. Dean Pickup can only have one of May, Hosking or Nanai. Thoughts in order of importance. So Hosking straight to 3. Terrell May, I think he's number 1 easily. He's going to be a premium. Don't overthink it. Don't antipod him. Don't think too much into it. He's the best scoring front row forward this year already. Maybe AFB is just in front of him, but he is there for a reason. Nanai, I like him. At number 2, I think Nanai looks brilliant this year, and I want him in my side. But how many Cowboys? Too many Cowboys. I just traded in Fini Fuiaki this week. Ben Whittaker, Teddy, or Paps. I know Paps has a bye next week, but Teddy a harder draw. I think Teddy. Go Teddy. Do the fullback rotation policy. Get Teddy in. Although I do like Paps this week. I don't know, just Paps without the goal kicking, I'm not sure on. Jeff Lane, load up on Sharks against Tigers this week. Ronaldo and Siffy both looking tempting. I like Sifa Talakai. I like the shout. I think I'll be tempted to go to Sifa Talakai this week, potentially for Sul Wong. So keep an eye out. Has SJ been injured or has he lost the goal kicking? Historically, SJ only doesn't goal kick when he's got a bit of a quad strain or a groin strain, so it's something like that might be hindering him. We've got a few more questions here. Tim Morrisong, Luki to Nanai, Hacho to Talakai, Ponga to Teddy. I actually really like them trades. I know I've been against trading out Ponga to these guys, but the fact that you're bettering your side so much everywhere else, I think that's perfect. Jeff Fletcher, what do you think about running 4 gun center wings and sticking with a few mid-range 2RFs that haven't already fired? Should still be a slow burn and turn into some cash. I think that's the way to go this year. I think with the center wings, not really any cheapies that are playable at least. And there's plenty of mid-range second rows that you can run with. So I'd be loading that up. Obviously, you can play Burbo in your centre wing. You've got Taylor May, Rogers Tuivasa-Sheck. So, yeah, good options there. Bill McCracken, Lukey to Tino, Hutchinson to Bostock, and Ponga to Teddy. Not convinced as the Titans attack can go, and if Tino can get to his average coming from a Titan supporter. I like Lukey to Tino, Hutchinson to Bostock. I like the look of Bostock. Ponga to Teddy. I don't know if them trades warrant going Ponga to Teddy, but yeah, I do like Lukey to Tino. I like it. I think I really want Tino this week, actually. I think he's going to turn up. Campbell Moultrie. Ponga, Best, Lukey, trade to Teddy, Mulatalo, Nanai, Shawla. Yeah, I like that. I think you're bettering your side in 2 positions at least. So if Ponga to Teddy allows you to fund that, then I like that. Anthony McIlroy, is it crazy to be thinking Dylan to Brooks has looked great and can use the 220k to bring in another gun? Now, this is a way that I think you can generate cash. I think both, they're not goal kickers. They're not the main focus of attacking their side. Very similar players. Parramatta have a good draw coming up in the next few weeks, so I think I'd hold off that trade, but 220k is 220k. I'd much rather be doing Brown to Brooks rather than Ponga to Teddy, because I think Teddy's draw, I just don't know against the Rabbitohs. Although the Rabbitohs have leaked points, I think they'll bounce back this week. Scott Erskine, does Luke Metcalf keep the goal kicking, or does Shaun Johnson reclaim them? I assume Shaun Johnson's going through a bit of a niggle at the moment, so that's why he hasn't got the goal kicking. That's all the questions on the Facebook, so thank you for tuning in. If you didn't get to ask a question this time, make sure to head over to the NRL SuperCoach Experience Facebook group. Head over there, ask your question, and we'll be sure to answer it on the podcast next week.